The story opens with a dark and disturbing scene outside a castle, where numerous animals are being forced to work continuously for many hours. They are clearly exhausted, their bodies worn down from relentless labor. Yet there is no sign of mercy from those in power. When one of the animals collapses from fatigue, instead of receiving help, a guard cruelly forces the animal to stand back up and continue working. This moment immediately establishes the injustice and brutality that exists in Oz, especially toward animals, who are treated as tools rather than living beings. Their suffering is normalized, and no one around seems willing to question it. This cruelty forms the emotional foundation of the story and highlights how deeply corruption has spread through the system. At this moment of despair, a bright light suddenly appears in the sky, bringing a sense of hope. The light belongs to Elphaba, who arrives riding her flying broom. Her entrance contrasts sharply with the darkness of the scene, symbolizing resistance and courage. Without hesitation, she attacks the guards, knocking them down and freeing the trapped animals. Her actions are fearless and driven by compassion rather than anger or a desire for fame. She does not seek recognition or praise. Her only concern is ending the suffering in front of her. This scene makes it clear that Elphaba is someone who stands up for those who cannot defend themselves. However, Elphaba's act of kindness quickly turns into a problem for those in power. As she frees the animals, soldiers riding flying brooms approach, forcing her to escape before she can be captured. Though she leaves successfully, the damage is done. The Wizard of Oz and his followers immediately twist the narrative, spreading the lie that Elphaba attacked the castle and endangered the city. Across Oz, notices appear warning people to stay away from her, claiming she is dangerous and unpredictable. Fear begins to replace truth, and Elphaba's name becomes associated with violence instead of justice. In reality, Elphaba lives far away from the city and wants nothing more than for people to understand who she truly is. She deeply loves animals and believes they deserve dignity, freedom, and equal rights. Everything the wizard says about her is false. But proving the truth is nearly impossible when lies are supported by authority and propaganda. The people of Oz accept what they are told without question, allowing fear to guide their opinions. Elphaba becomes isolated, not because of her actions, but because of the false image created around her. Despite everything, Elphaba continues to care deeply for Glinda, missing her and wishing she could understand the truth. This emotional distance adds another layer of pain to her struggle. From the very beginning, the story makes it clear that Elphaba is not evil by nature. She is a victim of a corrupt system that punishes anyone who challenges injustice. This opening sets the tone for the entire narrative, showing how easily truth can be buried under lies and how a good person can be turned into a villain simply for doing what is right. As the story moves forward, attention shifts to how fear is carefully manufactured and controlled across the land of Oz. While Elphaba is labeled as a dangerous threat, Glinda is presented to the public as the symbol of safety, beauty, and reassurance. She has become the official spokesperson of the Wizard of Oz and is now engaged to the prince, a union that strengthens her public image and political influence. The people of Oz admire her and trust her words without hesitation, unaware that she is being used as part of a carefully staged performance meant to distract them from the truth. Glinda is approached by the former dean of the Magical University, who explains that panic has spread throughout Oz because of rumors about Elphaba. To control this fear, the dean gives Glinda a magical bubble and a wand. She instructs her to appear inside the bubble in front of the people and pretend that she is controlling it with magic, even though the illusion is already set. This staged display of power makes Glinda feel important and admired, reinforcing her role as a beloved figure. When Glinda appears before the citizens of Oz, she announces that the yellow brick road has finally been completed. This road, however, was built through the forced labor of animals who were abused and mistreated, a truth that is never mentioned publicly. Glinda then assures everyone that there is no need to fear Elphaba. Her words calm the crowd, but they are carefully scripted to serve the wizard's agenda. At the same time, the dean announces that the prince has been appointed captain of the army that will capture Elphaba. The crowd reacts with excitement and approval, celebrating the idea of her arrest. False stories about Elphaba spread even further, portraying her as a merciless witch with monstrous features and no compassion. These lies are exaggerated to ensure that no one sympathizes with her. The prince, however, is deeply troubled by these rumors. He knows Elphaba personally and understands that everything being said about her is untrue. Unable to tolerate the lies, he quietly leaves the stage, signaling his inner conflict between duty and truth. His reaction shows that not everyone in Oz is blind to manipulation, even though most choose comfort over honesty. Meanwhile, Elphaba appears high above the clouds on her flying broom, determined to reveal the truth. She uses magic to write a message in the sky, exposing the wizard as a liar. For a brief moment, the truth is visible to all. However, the dean quickly intervenes, magically altering the message into a violent threat against the people of Oz. This act instantly transforms Elphaba's attempt at honesty into further evidence against her. Fear and hatred intensify, and the wizard's control becomes stronger. As flying monkeys are sent after her, Elphaba escapes into the forests, using her intelligence to hide and survive. The prince secretly follows but ultimately orders his soldiers to retreat after spotting Elphaba in hiding. He chooses to protect her rather than capture her, and Elphaba realizes that he deliberately let her go. This moment strengthens the emotional connection between them and highlights the growing divide between truth and propaganda in Oz. As the situation in Oz continues to deteriorate, the consequences of oppression begin to surface more clearly. Animals across the land, exhausted and terrified by constant abuse and the cruelty of the flying monkeys, start abandoning Oz altogether. They no longer see the land as a place of safety or belonging. Among them is the bear who once cared for Elphaba like a guardian, someone who protected her and stood by her when no one else did. When Elphaba confronts them, she desperately insists that Oz is their home and that leaving will only allow injustice to win. However, the animals have lost hope. Years of suffering have taught them that survival sometimes means walking away, even from the place they once loved. During this emotional confrontation, a cowardly lion appears and blames Elphaba for everything that has gone wrong. He accuses her of being the reason the flying monkeys gained their powers, claiming that if she had never used her magic, the animals would not be facing such cruelty. His words deeply wound Elphaba, as she realizes that even those she tried to protect now see her as the cause of their suffering. In that moment, her voice is ignored, and her efforts feel meaningless. Isolated and rejected, she leaves in silence, carrying the heavy weight of guilt and loneliness. Seeking help, Elphaba turns to her half-sister, who has become the new governor after their father's death. She hopes that blood relations might succeed where compassion failed. Instead, she is met with resentment. Her half-sister accuses her of abandoning the family and bringing shame upon them. Years of emotional pain rise to the surface, rooted in her lifelong struggle with physical disability and emotional rejection. Confined to a wheelchair since childhood and unable to walk, she has always felt powerless and unloved. Her unreturned love for Bach has only deepened her bitterness. In a desperate attempt to gain happiness, Elphaba's half-sister reads a magical spell meant to make Bach love her. However, her lack of understanding causes her to read the wrong spell, one that affects his heart. Bach's condition rapidly worsens, and he is on the verge of death. Realizing the seriousness of the situation, Elphaba forces her sister to leave the room and takes control. Using powerful magic, she saves Bach's life by transforming him into a tin man. Although his life is spared, he loses his human form, a sacrifice that becomes another reason for the world to blame Elphaba. Despite the chaos, Elphaba remains focused on revealing the truth. She decides to attend Glinda's wedding, knowing that all of Oz will be gathered in one place. Her goal is not revenge, but exposure. She believes that if the people see the wizard face to face and hear him admit his lies, justice might finally be served. This decision marks a turning point in her journey, showing her willingness to confront the heart of corruption directly, even if it means risking her own safety. At this stage of the story, Elphaba stands completely alone, misunderstood by the world, yet still driven by a deep sense of responsibility and moral strength. As events escalate, Elphaba finally confronts the wizard inside the upper chambers of his towering palace, where he is surrounded by machines and illusions that create the image of great power. She demands that he come down in front of the people of Oz and confess that he possesses no real magical ability and that he cannot even read the powerful spellbook known as the Grimoire. Elphaba makes it clear that she will no longer accept lies or manipulation. She is willing to expose everything if it means freeing the animals and ending the fear that controls the land. The wizard, confident in his influence, dismisses her threat, claiming that the people will never believe her because they trust him and praise him as their savior. Glinda stands between them, torn by loyalty and fear. She urges Elphaba to compromise and join them, promising that together they could guide Oz like a family and slowly change things from within. Elphaba reluctantly agrees to consider this path, but only on the condition that the abuse of animals must end immediately. She demands that all animals who fled Oz be allowed to return freely and that every flying monkey be released from servitude. The wizard appears to accept these conditions, giving Elphaba a key and convincing her that he has finally chosen peace over control. When Elphaba uses the key, she discovers that the wizard has deceived her. Instead of freedom, she finds countless animals imprisoned in cages, hidden away from the public eye. The sight fills her with rage and heartbreak, as she realizes the full scale of the wizard's cruelty. These animals have been silenced and forgotten, their suffering concealed to maintain the illusion of harmony in Oz. The wizard soon arrives and reveals his true nature, showing no remorse for his actions. This betrayal destroys any remaining hope Elphaba had for peaceful resolution. Fueled by anger and determination, Elphaba uses her magic to unlock every cage, freeing the imprisoned animals and urging them to escape. Chaos erupts as the wizard flees in fear, and the animals scatter throughout the palace. The disturbance interrupts Glinda's wedding below, drawing the prince away from the ceremony. When he arrives, he sees Elphaba holding the wizard captive with her magic. In a shocking turn, the prince points his weapon at the wizard instead of Elphaba and locks him inside a cage, exposing where his true loyalty lies. Glinda witnesses this moment and misunderstands it, believing that Elphaba and the prince have betrayed her together. Heartbroken and confused, she watches as Elphaba and the prince flee the palace. The wizard, now powerless, demands their capture, but without the flying monkeys, his authority begins to crumble. Glinda, driven by jealousy and anger, suggests spreading false rumors that Elphaba's sister is in danger, knowing it will force her to return. This decision marks Glinda's moral downfall, showing how fear and pride can push even good people toward harmful choices. In the final phase of the story, Elphaba's world collapses under the weight of sacrifice, misunderstanding, and loss. After freeing the imprisoned animals and escaping with the prince, she believes for a brief moment that love and truth might finally bring her peace. They retreat to her hidden refuge, where the prince openly confesses his feelings for her and admits that he has always admired her courage and honesty. For the first time, Elphaba allows herself to feel hope. She believes that together they can leave Oz behind and start a new life where lies and cruelty no longer define their existence. Their shared flight through the sky becomes a symbol of freedom, love, and the possibility of redemption. This fragile happiness is shattered when a powerful vision strikes Elphaba, showing her half-sister crushed beneath a falling house caused by a sudden tornado. She immediately senses that this is not an accident but a deliberate act meant to lure her into a trap. Despite the prince's concern and insistence on accompanying her, Elphaba chooses to face the danger alone, knowing the risk is too great. As she leaves, the prince is ambushed and captured by flying monkeys who now serve the corrupted leadership of Oz. Believing her spell to protect him has failed, Elphaba assumes he has been tortured and killed. This belief destroys her emotionally, convincing her that every good intention she has ever had only results in pain and death. When Elphaba reaches the site of the disaster, she finds Glinda mourning her sister's death. Glinda believes it was a tragic accident, but Elphaba knows it was a calculated move. Their grief quickly turns into anger as long-standing jealousy, guilt, and misunderstanding erupt into conflict. Guards arrive at the exact moment tensions peak, revealing that the entire situation was orchestrated to capture Elphaba. Though she is nearly taken away, the prince suddenly reappears, alive and allied with the flying monkeys who have chosen to protect Elphaba. He forces the guards to release her, allowing her to escape once more. This moment confirms to Elphaba that the system will never stop hunting her, no matter how much good she tries to do. Exhausted and broken, Elphaba decides the only way to protect others is to let the world believe she is truly evil. She chooses to surrender herself symbolically, handing over her spell book to Glinda and asking her to use it to create real change. Elphaba allows a staged death to occur, appearing to melt away underwater, fulfilling the myth that has been built around her. Glinda is devastated but honors Elphaba's wish, publicly maintaining the lie to bring stability to Oz. The wizard, confronted with the truth that Elphaba was his daughter, is overwhelmed by guilt and leaves Oz forever. Glinda becomes the new leader of Oz and corrects the injustices that once defined the land. Animals and humans are finally allowed to live together without fear, and those responsible for cruelty are punished. In the quiet aftermath, it is revealed that Elphaba survived and escaped Oz with the prince, now transformed but alive, free from the lies of Oz and the burden of being misunderstood. They leave together to live in peace. Elphaba finally achieves what she always wanted. Not power or recognition, but freedom, truth, and love beyond the reach of a broken world. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And watch my other videos for more amazing movie stories and explanations.